channel, or welcome if this is the first time that you are joining me. For today's video, I thought I would do another tag because they're always fun to do and they're always quite an easy thing for me to do as well. This is a really old tag. It's called 10 Questions Every Tarot Reader Should Answer. And it was originally from a blog post by somebody called Left Hand Tarot. Unfortunately, the blog post itself no longer exists, but this video has been done, this tag, sorry, has been done by other YouTubers in the past. So Katy Flowers and Ethony both did this tag in 2016. And then Simon from the Hermit's Cave and Jessie Huntenburg both did it in 2017. I don't know if anybody's done it since, but I quite like the sound of it, so I thought I would give it a go. So question 1, were you mentored or were you self-taught? I have very much definitely been self-taught. I have learned the tarot through books, through YouTube videos, through different websites, and just generally from reading and the tarot for myself and spending time with different cards, and also through the videos, the Beginner's Guide to Tarot series videos that I'm currently doing for myself on this channel. But I'm also very, very lucky that I live in a place with quite a high spiritual community, and a lot of the people within that community are long-time tarot readers, long-time tarot enthusiasts. So I do have people in the area that I can talk to, that I can bounce ideas off of, that I can ask questions of. So although I'm not specifically being mentored by anybody, I do kind of have that availability there, should I want it. Question number 2, are you psychic or are you a tarot reader? I'm definitely a tarot reader. If you took the cards away, I wouldn't be able to give you the information. I wouldn't be able to read people or situations or whatever in the way that the tarot allows me to do. I'm very much, for me, it's very much about learning the cards first and foremost, and then allowing that knowledge to tap into my intuition and to go from there. But without that learning and that experience and that knowledge base, I certainly wouldn't be able to do it. I'm definitely not psychic. Question number 3, are your predictions accurate and is accuracy important to you? I don't really make predictions with the tarot. That's not really how I read. So in general, it's a really difficult question to answer, but I have found that quite often I like to journal all of my tarot readings, and every 6 months, 12 months, whatever, I like to go back over my readings and look at how they have played into my life and my situation and how much they've played out in the way that I expected them to. And a lot of the time I do find that when you have the, you know, if you do the Celtic cross and you have the future positions or whatever, that I'm generally reasonably accurate in how I interpret those cards, but sometimes things don't work out necessarily the way I expected them to. So they do kind of come to pass, if you like, but not necessarily always in the way that I expected them to. And accuracy is not necessarily a huge factor for me anyway, because as I say, I don't tend to read predictively, so I'm not really trying to divine the future with tarot, so accuracy is not a huge part of my reading in terms of prediction. Question number 4, is there anything you can't predict in a reading? Well, based on everything I just said, the future. I can't really predict the future in a tarot reading, purely because, as I say, that's just not how I read. So it's very difficult for me to answer that question. But I think I can't necessarily predict how, based again on how I answered the last question, I maybe can predict what the likelihood of a situation in the future coming to pass is, but I don't think I can necessarily predict how it will come to pass. Question number 5, do you use only tarot or are you multi-disciplinary? At the moment, I mostly use only tarot, although I am starting to learn Lenormand and I'm starting to use that a bit more. And I do, if I've just got like a yes/no type question, I will also use my pendulum, which I've had for a really long time. And I also like to use oracle cards in my tarot readings sometimes as well. So I guess in that respect, I am multidisciplinary, although tarot is my main source of is my main tool. Question number 6, I'm flying through these, aren't I? Is the message in the cards or in your head? I think this is a really, really good question. And I think that right now, what I believe right now is that the messages are in my head, which I always think when you say something's in your head, there is a tendency for us to give it less validity than if we use other terminology. I don't think something being in your head makes it less valid. I just think that what the tarot is doing is tapping into some knowledge that I already have or I already have access to, and the images in the cards are allowing me to make those connections. And to some degree, I do believe in meaningful coincidence, and I do believe that humans have this need and this drive to make patterns out of things, and that's what we're doing when we read the tarot. And because of that, it doesn't necessarily matter what cards come up. Any cards could come up and we would still be able to make those connections. We just might make them in a slightly different way. So in that respect, I do strongly believe right now that the message isn't in the cards itself. The message is coming from me and my intuition, and maybe me tapping into some knowledge, like the collective unconscious knowledge or something. Question number 7. Are you a priest or a fortune teller? I don't know if I really understand what the question is asking me. I don't really think I'm either. Like, I think if I was going to say what kind of reader am I guess I'm more of a, like, I don't want to say therapist because that makes it sound like I should have had some kind of training, or counselor again, that makes it sound like I should have had some kind of training. But that is very much how I read the tarot. I read it from a very psychological point of view rather than a mystical point of view or a religious point of view. It is very psychological for me. So I would say in that respect, I'm a psychologist rather than a priest or a fortune teller. But they all sound like very big, scary titles that sound like they should have, like psychologist, therapist, those kind of things. They sound like they should have some kind of formal education behind them, and I definitely don't mean it that way. Although I am training to be a counselling practitioner, I don't have any I don't have a degree in psychology, I don't have a degree in psychotherapy, I don't have any kind of formal education, but that is very much how I like to use the tarot. Question number 8. Are you a fixer or a looker? I think I'm a little bit of both. So I like to use the tarot to look at situations, look at the situation that I'm in, and try and maybe get some insight into some things that I may not have seen, or things that I may not just be aware of, or things that I may have seen but maybe don't understand. So in that respect, I'm very much using the tarot as a looker. But I also think that the tarot can help us find solutions to things, and I do think that that's very much a way that I use the tarot, as well as to look at the situations and find out about those things that I'm not necessarily seeing, or those things that I'm not aware of. I am also using the tarot to try and help me find solutions or ways that I can deal with the situations that I'm in. So in that respect, I would say that it's definitely a combination of both for me. Question number 9. Do you read for free or for a fee? At the moment, I very much read for free, mainly because I only either read for myself, or I read for people that I know, or I read for people that I don't know via email, because I have put out there on my Instagram or on Tarot Nerds on Facebook or whatever that I'm interested in doing some readings for people for the experience of reading for others. So I don't charge, because I don't believe that my knowledge or my experience of tarot is at a point yet where I should be charging a fee. So for me at the moment, the exchange is they get the reading and I get the experience, and that's the exchange. That's not to say that I don't think people should charge for tarot. I absolutely believe that people should charge for tarot readings, and that the tarot is ultimately a service, and that we should pay for our services in the same way that we would pay for any other service. So I think that charging a fee for tarot reading is absolutely acceptable, and in fact something that I would expect tarot readers to do. And then question number 10, final question, is there anything you won't predict in a reading? As I say, I don't really use tarot as a predictive tool, and because I don't use it as a predictive tool, it's very difficult for me to know what currently my boundaries are, because I haven't really had that line where I've had to draw them, kind of thing, if that makes sense. So I find that question really difficult to answer in that respect, but also really easy to answer in the respect that I don't use the tarot for prediction, so technically there's nothing that I would predict in a reading at this stage. But I think if I was to go by my own moral code, where I sit right now, I wouldn't want to use the tarot to try and predict anything medical related. I wouldn't want to use the tarot to try and predict anything legal related. You know, I do very much believe that I'm not a doctor. I'm not, as I said, a psychotherapist, so I wouldn't want to try and predict any kind of mental health stuff. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not legally trained, so I wouldn't want to try and predict anything legal. I wouldn't really want to put myself or another person in a position where I'm trying to predict things that I just don't have the knowledge to back up, if you like. So that was all 10 questions. This was a really, really quick tag. I am going to put the questions in the comments box, because as I say, the original blog post with the questions on is no longer available, and I will also link to the channels that I mentioned that have done it before, link to their videos so that you can check those videos out as well. If you've never done this tag before and it's something that you think you might like to do, and you do go ahead and make a video response of your own, then please let me know in the comments so that I can go and check that out, because I really love watching other people's videos for tags of things as well as making my own. If you are new here and you enjoy this kind of content, and you're looking for witchy kind of tarot related topics that are quite laid back, generally quite rambly, but quite chatty in style, then please also consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that little bell so that you see all of my future videos as they come up. And thank you very, very much for watching. Take care, everybody, and lots of love. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.